childhood friend of mine named Ethan and I went on a short camping trip in the forests of Maine. Both of us were fairly experienced campers. However, this was Ethan's first time visiting this particular spot. I had been here plenty of times before, so I knew the area quite well. We hiked several hours down a trail to reach a clearing in the trees where we set up our camp. I believe we arrived at around 6 in the evening. After getting everything prepared, we built a nice campfire and made some food. Then we cracked open a few beers and talked by the fire as the sun slowly set. It was a calm and enjoyable night. About 2 hours into the evening, we heard what sounded like something moving just beyond the edge of our campsite, in the darkness outside the light of the campfire. We looked around but saw nothing unusual. For the rest of the night, we didn't hear anything else. We figured it was probably just some small animal scurrying away. Honestly, if nothing else had happened, I probably would have forgotten all about it. That's how minor it seemed at the time. If you're not used to camping, this might seem strange, but noises like that happen all the time out here and usually mean nothing. Once we had our drinks and started getting sleepy, we decided to call it a night, poured out the fire, and got into our tents to sleep. In the morning, we woke up early because this camping spot had a special feature. There was a very secluded and private pond about half a mile through the woods from our campsite. Hardly anyone knew about it since the trail didn't actually lead there. It was a beautiful spot with a mini waterfall and a small river running through it. We spent most of the morning there for maybe 3 or 4 hours. Eventually, we headed back to camp to make some food and rest for a while. I even took a short nap. Later that day, around 6 again, the sun was getting lower, and we hadn't gathered any firewood yet for the campfire. Most of the dry sticks lying around camp had been used the night before, so I needed to search farther to collect enough. While I was busy, Ethan said he wanted to take a walk and explore some of the other areas, but he'd pick up any firewood he found on the way back. I said, sure, and kept gathering sticks from the ground. Ethan usually did this whenever we went camping. I think he enjoyed some alone time to take in the quiet of nature. I ended up getting a good pile of firewood and sat back down at camp, just passing time until Ethan returned so I could light the fire. The sun kept getting lower, and after a while I realized he had been gone longer than usual. He normally wasn't out this long, and he knew better than to wander the woods when it was getting close to sunset. The only way we could communicate out here with no cell service was by using our small satellite messengers. We always kept them in our waist packs, along with bear spray and other essentials. These were meant for emergencies, but they came in handy for times like this too. I pulled out my messenger to send him a message, but noticed he had already sent me one just a few minutes earlier. Ethan said he had gotten a little lost, but happened to find his way back to the pond. I replied, telling him to stay put and that I'd hurry over to guide him back. When you're lost, it's always safest to stay in one place, rather than risk getting more lost, and both Ethan and I knew that. Since I knew the area well, I quickly set off toward the pond. It was now a race against the setting sun. Even with headlamps and knowing the trail during the day, it would still be very easy to lose your way after dark. I got about halfway to the pond, maybe 4 or 5 minutes away, when I received another message. I reached into my bag and checked it, expecting Ethan to just be checking in or asking how far I was. But what he sent surprised me. His message said, "I see you." I didn't understand what he meant, I wasn't even near the pond yet. I stopped walking and looked around, confused because I didn't see him anywhere nearby. I replied that I wasn't there yet and didn't see him either. Feeling uneasy, I started hurrying, basically running toward the pond. I got there quickly and ran up to the tree line near the water. But Ethan wasn't there. From where I stood, I could see the entire tree line surrounding the pond, and there was no sign of him. I felt a chill as the blood drained from my face and pulled out my messenger again. My last message to him saying I didn't see him hadn't been opened. I shouted his name, my voice echoing through the quiet trees. The sun was almost completely gone, and the forest was becoming darker and still. Maybe he had decided to head back to camp, somehow remembering the way. I didn't know why he would, but where else could he have gone? With almost no daylight left, I knew it was safest to head back to camp and sort things out there. I hadn't lit the campfire yet, so if I waited too long, finding the campsite in the dark would be almost impossible. I began walking back, feeling nervous as the forest grew darker with every step. The strange message, "I see you," kept repeating in my mind. By the time I was a minute or so away from the clearing, it was almost pitch black. That's when I noticed something, a flickering orange light coming from where the camp should be. As I got closer, I saw the campfire was lit and someone was standing beside it. I walked toward the figure, feeling relieved, thinking Ethan had made it back. But as I approached, the person suddenly turned toward me and sprinted away from the fire into the woods. My heart pounded as I ran to the camp, confused and frightened. That wasn't Ethan. I grabbed my messenger and started sending texts quickly. Now I was genuinely worried and disturbed by everything happening. A minute or so later, Ethan came running out of the forest and into the camp. His face showed both fear and relief. He immediately said we needed to leave. I agreed, telling him about the person I had just seen at the campfire. Ethan said it was probably the same person he saw earlier near the pond. He explained that he thought it was me at first, until he got closer and realized it was someone else. Ethan said he had asked if the man knew the way back to the trail, but the stranger didn't respond. Instead, he kept slowly walking toward him, wearing a very unsettling smile. According to Ethan, something about the man's face seemed off, like it was strange or unnatural. Something wasn't right. Ethan panicked and ran in the direction he thought would lead him back to camp, getting lost again, but eventually seeing the fire and heading toward it. We quickly packed our things and left. The hike back to the car was nerve-wracking, but we managed to make it safely. After this experience, I kept thinking about the entire camping trip, especially the movement we heard that first night outside the camp. All the pieces started to fit together. Most likely that man had been out there the whole time watching us, waiting for one of us to be alone. Just imagining him standing silently outside our camp as we talked and slept, completely unaware, is incredibly disturbing. We still talk about that trip every so often, but we've never planned to go back to those woods again.